Welcome to Salcedo Paranormal. It is Wednesday, July 6th, 2022. And tonight I will be reviewing the sixth book in the Dark Tower series, Song of Susannah. And there will be spoilers. So just to let you all know about that before I start. Again, there will be spoilers. But as I always say with these reviews, this is just a summary, so um, I won't be able to cover everything. So, and also, we are going to reschedule the show with Derek for next week. As of right now, it looks like so. He will be back on the show for us to talk about video games and the paranormal again at some point soon. And of course, this Friday I'll be covering paranormal news, and then this Sunday I'll be sharing true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all of the episodes of the podcast, along with links to social media, ways to donate, and ways to contact me at the podcast page, which is salcidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO .paranormal. No, I'm sorry. Salcido Paranormal, no dot in the middle there. SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. And always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions, or if you have stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. And if any of the days and times that I normally stream do not work, we can arrange another date and time as needed. So, thank you all for being here and listening. Whether you're here for the live stream, I see you all here right now. Thank you. Or if you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds, those numbers are still rising, and I really appreciate that. So, I've been going through here and there whenever it works for the show, and reviewing the different books in Stephen King's Dark Tower series, which is a mix of science fiction, fantasy, horror. I guess you could say different elements here and there of westerns. And I made it through the first 5 books. I would definitely recommend, if you're listening to this show after the stream is over, if you're listening to the recorded version, if you haven't listened to those other shows, I'd definitely recommend it before you listen to this one. This will be the second to the last one, and so there's a lot I'm not going to review in leading up to this one. So let me get to the summary here that I have pulled up for this, because that will help. So this book starts off with Roland and his allies in this cave, which has a door, which is a portal to other dimensions, other places. And one of the allies, Susannah, Susannah. Sorry, not Susan. That's a different character. They found out at the end of the last book, has this other personality or entity inside her, that is the mother to this child that Susannah is pregnant with, and it is this being named Mia has gone through this portal to get help from basically Roland's enemies, to give birth to this child. And that's where this book starts off, with Roland and other heroes, or allies really, um, following the trail to this cave. Um, and so they figure out how to, with help from locals, they figure out how to access this door. Now, this book starts off with Susannah having gone through the door. Turns out Mia, this um, spirit being entity, I'm not sure what it exactly. I believe it was she's labeled as a demon in uh, the earlier books, but basically a spirit. Use this door to go back to New York of 1999, and she opened this door using Black 13, this almost like a crystal ball that is pure black and extremely powerful. Uh, Mia tells Susannah that she has made a deal with the forces of the Crimson King, who is the basically the big major uh, driving force behind all of the uh, destruction of reality and trying to speed it up. And so she's going to these people that are going to help her bear this child uh, in exchange for being able to take care of it, because that's all that this spirit wants, is to take care of this child. But what she doesn't know and doesn't really care too much about is that this child is the biological descendant of a few different beings, basically. Susanna Dean, uh, Eddie Dean's wife, but also um, uh, Roland. Now, this is because the being that was guarding the doorway, another doorway where Jake came through into Roland's world, was able to change, basically change forms and sexes so that it Roland's DNA was put into Susannah. But this there was other there's basically this child is going to have two fathers. The other is this Crimson King. Uh, and so it also wants Mia to have this baby so that he'll have an heir. Um, and so that's why Mia has taken Susannah and the baby to have the baby delivered. So there's the locals, basically local magicians or mages, help Roland and his group open the door. But when it is opened, there's um, there's the groups are taken to places that they don't plan on going. That basically that they had a plan in advance of where they were going to split up into two groups, and they were going to. So they had this plan of who and what they were going to do, who they were going to go after and what they were going to do. And this didn't work out this way. And instead of being the other way around, Jake and his pet Oi, which is this creature, and Father Callahan, who again, remember last book I reviewed, the fifth book in the series, Wolves of the Calla. Callahan is also from another book of Stephen King's, Salem's Lot. So this group follows follows after and is out to rescue Susannah, but they don't know that they're walking into a trap. And meanwhile, Um, in let's see here. Oh, okay. Also, while in New York, once they get to New York, they find that Susannah has abandoned the this Black 13, this orb, uh, and they know how powerful it is. So this is where this kind of intersects with strange. It makes you wonder why King did this, and I didn't check and see when this was. Let me just check and see when this book was released because I don't remember. Just checking, and let's see here. It doesn't say right away. Um, but I know, you know what? I know this came out after. So they, in this world that they find themselves in, they hide Black 13 in a locker, and um, it is hinted at that this orb is destroyed in that world when real world events happen in that world, that fictional world. And of course, they had this in the locker at the World Trade Center. So the orb is destroyed in the end. And so yeah, while Jake and Callahan go after Susannah, Roland and Eddie are sent by this doorway to Maine in 1977. And the reason they end up going there, or they figure out that they were sent there, is they need to gain the property, the ownership of the property where the Rose, which is the physical counterpart to the tower, they need to protect the Rose, basically. And they need to get this, purchase this property from its current owner, who is Calvin Tower, who owns the bookstore where Jake found a couple of books that had references to different characters throughout the series. And so that's why they figure out that's why they were sent there. So let me see here. I'm going to pause there just for a second. I just want to make sure everything's working okay. Looks like it is. Oops. Let me see here. Okay, looks like it's still doing okay. All right, good. I just want to make sure everything was still going okay. So anyway, I'll get back to the story here. This is really a good story, and it's amazing how all the pieces to this that have been put into this series are starting to come together in this last couple of books. So let me see here. I'll get back to this file and find my place again. So Eddie and Roland have to find Calvin Tower and convince him to sell them the tower. Now, at the same time, let me see here. The criminal organization that had controlled Eddie and his brother Balazar. There we go. Balazar and who was an organized crime boss, who are alive in this dimension because it's not the same one that Eddie came from. Excuse me. They also come after Tower, and in order to convince him to sell them the property, because they are also, even though they don't know it, they are working again for the Crimson King, who wants to have the rose destroyed in that world as well. And so Roland and Eddie end up having to fight this entire group of gunmen, and they make it out alive with the deed to this property, with help from a local that showed up in the area at the same time as this ambush, and so they get the deed of the vacant lot, and they also learn that nearby, just happens to be nearby, is the home of Stephen King. Now, this is a Stephen King in this universe. And now Roland and Eddie had never heard of King until near the end of the last book. They found a book that was the book that was actually Salem's Lot, written by Stephen King, which contains Father Callahan, who appears to be the one that is now with Jake. And so, and they are trying to figure out. They decide to go and meet King to figure out his connection to the Dark Tower, and what role he has to play in the whole thing. Now, all of these events going on, and these different energy fields and mixing of just basically energies. I'm kind of not really exaggerating, but summarizing this here. There's this one portal that has opened up not too far from King's home, and it's another doorway. Now, somehow the author is unaware of this. King is unaware of this, but other people in the area are, and so. But in the end, Stephen King meets Roland and Eddie. So you have the fictional representation of the real author meeting his own creations. And so it turns out that King is basically a medium, channeler, who is given the ideas and the thoughts behind this Dark Tower story, or the story idea of a Dark Tower, to spread throughout reality in different realities. And but when in this world, as King was working on these stories, he was starting to feel like he was being watched and perhaps even chased by forces that he couldn't really identify, that didn't feel good. So he stopped working on this story for a while. But Roland is able to suggest, hypnotically in a way, that King should keep working on this series, and because he's pretty sure that it's important for King to finish this, because again, it will help make the tower more real, more stable. And Roland and Eddie realize that the success of their quest to get to the tower partially depends on King's writing about it through the story. So again, you have this mixing of different fictional and real universes within this fictional universe. And so that's basically the arc of those characters in this book. Now, of course, the other group in this story is Jake and Callahan, and then Jake's pet. They realize that the Crimson King's forces are waiting for them in the place where Susannah has gone, and but they have to. They're determined to go after her to find her, and so they enter this restaurant, which is the front for the Crimson King's, basically one of his bases, and they don't think they're going to make it through alive. But the book ends with Jake and Callahan entering with weapons raised, and Susannah about to give birth to her son, Roland's son, the Crimson King's son. At this point, though, she's in another world, another version of what they kind of throughout the series heavily hint at being Earth, but in another universe and in a very different point in time, possibly the far, far future. And the book ends with Stephen King writing a little bit of a diary, and it's the fictional King writing a diary about the process of writing the first 4 books of the Dark Tower series in that universe. This is all it can kind of get confusing. But now in this universe, this particular version of Stephen King, in that world, ends up dying in June 19th, 1999. So, and that's where that book ends, with everything up in the air and seemingly separated and disjointed, and but again, it's a very good book. The series is very good. I like it a lot. I know this ended up being a shorter episode in a way, but the last book in this series is a lot bigger. So I don't really want to cover that one right now. It'll take us another half hour or more. So that's going to be it for this episode. Again, I would definitely recommend checking out the series. And not everyone likes it. It seems to be one of those where you either like it or you don't. But if you're into King at all, I would definitely recommend checking it out, just because it is the centerpiece to King's whole fictional multiverse, basically. And there are references in various books that connect to each other and to the Dark Tower series. So yeah, just wanted to point that out again. And I hope you all enjoyed this. I never know how these summaries are going to go as I'm doing them, because I don't really script them. I just go based on memories and then summaries of what I find online. So, but thank you all for being here, and I will talk to you all on Friday night. And I'll be covering more paranormal news on the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Take care. Have a great night.